Herzlich willkommen, liebe Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer, zu einem ganz besonderen Interview. Heute begrüße ich den ungarischen Außenminister Peter Szijjarto. Foreign Minister Szijjarto, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
I'm sure you are following political events in Germany very closely. Do you think you can implement your ideas for Europe better with Olaf Scholz, or do you already miss Angela Merkel?
We definitely follow very closely what is happening in the domestic politics of Germany, given the fact that whatever happens here has a big impact on Hungary and on the European political scene, obviously. Although we could work together with Chancellor Merkel very well, we respect her pretty much. We do respect the decision of the German voters. So whoever is going to be the Chancellor, whatever governmental setup is going to be here in Germany, we are happy to work together with the new colleagues. I think this is a key in international politics. What we miss now a little bit, not must miss much, is the mutual respect. So respecting the decisions of each other, respecting the outcomes of elections of each other, respecting the decisions of the citizens of each other, it's very, very important. So whoever is going to lead Germany in the future, we will look at him or her as the one who has received the trust and the votes of the German citizens, and we will approach definitely with respect. So if your current Minister of Finance is going to be the new Chancellor, then we will try to build the best possible cooperation with him.
So let's get into your domestic politics. Do you understand the reaction of your European partners to the Hungarian law restricting information about homosexuality and transsexuality?
To be honest, we are very much fed up with this kind of approach on behalf of the European political and media world towards Hungary. Usually this criticism appears before reading the entire piece of legislation. That was the case with the law on media. That was the case with the operation of the jurisdiction in Hungary. Now this is the same. The criticism was out even before anybody would have read the text of the law. This law is about the protection of the children. It has nothing to do with the homosexual community in Hungary. It doesn't say anything about the lives of anyone above the age of 18.
For people under the age of 18.
Yeah, it only says, the law only says that the education regarding sexual orientation of the children must be exclusively conducted by the parents. So it is an exclusive right of the parents to conduct such kind of education or with regards to their own children. And yes, we have forbidden direct pornographic content, promotion of homosexuality, promotion of gender change to everybody who is under the age of 18, and we leave it to the parents to discuss these kind of issues with their own children. We stick to our approach that we, the parents, know our kids the best. And we know when and in what form such kind of issues should be discussed with them. And I'm pretty sure that I know my kids much better than any NGO, any activist who would come to the school or the kindergarten of my kids and would talk to them about such kind of issues. We don't want that to happen.
Do you remember when you first fell in love with someone?
Yeah, of course I do. No, I think everybody does.
At what age?
Well, it was sometimes at the end of the elementary, as far as I remember.
So right before the age of 18?
Yeah, of course, sure. But I think it's not rare, let's put it this way.
And do you remember when and how you realized that you are attracted to women?
I always liked to build such kind of relationship with girls. It was never a question in my life. So I even remember when I talked to these kind of issues with my parents. So it was very natural to me that I talked to my parents about such kind of issues. I talked to my parents about about sexual questions, and it would have been very strange to me if anybody out of my family had talked to me about these kind of issues, being in elementary or in kindergarten.
But with that in mind, that you fell in love long before you turned 18 for the first time.
Yeah, well, what do we mean under love, of course, if we are speaking about children? So I mean, we shouldn't. I think we shouldn't put too much significance on that. Yeah.
You always emphasize that you respect LGBTQ community.
Yeah, sure.
But doesn't this law discourage young people from developing their own sexual identity?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because this law only says that these kind of sensitive issues must be addressed and explained by the parents in case of the children. So I don't think anybody would think it seriously that any activist or any NGO would know it better when it is appropriate to talk to kids about such kind of sensitive issues.
And if a boy, let's say he's 16, feels attracted to men and his parents are homophobic, where can he get the information?
Well, I think we should trust people much more than that. So I have listened to so much criticism like that what if the parents? But why don't we leave it to them? Why don't we trust them more and better? And why should we allow activists go to kindergartens or schools? Talk to my kids because you would have a bad opinion on other parents. So I don't see the rationale behind, to be honest.
So you think there are no homophobic parents in Hungary?
Did I say that?
No, but if there's a problem and the parents are the only one who can talk to their kid about this topic.
Yeah, but once again, why do we put it as a clear and sure fact on the table? Why do we have such kind of bad opinion on the people, on the parents? Why do we think that it's not the parents who know their kids the best?
All right, yeah, let's move on to another topic. Your government or Hungary has secured its southern border with Serbia with a fence. What else would you be willing to do to keep out more refugees?
Look, first of all, we had been under enormous migratory pressure back in 2015 and since then. You might remember that there were 400,000 illegal migrants who have crossed our border 6 years ago. Then we were able to stop this migratory flow by building a fence, deploying army and police on the border in order to prevent further violations of our border, and preventing additional hundreds of thousands or millions of people coming to Germany, by the way. I'm pretty sure that we do have to stick to our own right to make our own decision whom we want to allow to enter our country and whom not. And we stick to our own right to make a decision with whom we are ready to live together and with whom not. And there's a very clear regulation in international law, and the international law says it very clearly, that if one has to leave his or her home because of any violent reasons, then he or she is entitled to stay temporarily on the territory of the first safe country.
But I'm asking specifically for the measures you are willing to take to keep these people out of Hungary.
Well, if we have the physical obstacle, we have the police there, so now we are successful in keeping these people out of the country.
Would you also be willing to shoot people to prevent them from crossing the border?
You know, I mean, why should we speak about that? We have the fence, we have the police there. In this concrete form, we are able to protect the border. But one thing should not be forgotten. One thing should not be forgotten. That those who violate our border should not be considered as heroes, should not be considered as examples to follow. Because, excuse me, there are international regulations how you are allowed to enter a territory of a country. And it's not a human right to violate a border of another country. We had the pressure on our border from Serbia and from Croatia. In these two countries, there's no war. Nobody's life is in danger. So my question is, what kind of right would anybody have to violate a border between two safe countries? Where is it written in international law that if I feel like going to another country, I can violate its border?
There is an international law, international right to asylum, but let us move on.
No, but come on, but wait a second, because international law speaks very clearly that if one has to escape from his or her home, is entitled to stay on the territory of the first safe country. My question is that those who stay in Serbia, for example, why would they have a right to come to Hungary or Germany to ask for asylum? Why they do not ask for asylum where they are in a safe country? That's my question.
I actually was at the Hungarian-Serbian border 2 years ago, and I talked to people on the Serbian side of the fence who live under terrible condition and who've been brutally beaten up by your border police.
But it's not true.
Pushed back to Serbia. I saw people and the wounds of the people, and that's against the rules of the Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. So in doing so, you are violating European rules. How do you justify this action?
But if you say this, you have to be responsible for what you say, because there are people listening and watching what you are saying. And you heard something.
No,
you heard,
I was there.
You heard, but have you seen any Hungarian border guard beating anybody who violated our border? Because this is what you say now, that Hungarian border guards have beaten people who violated our border. What kind of proofs you have for that?
I saw the wounds of the people.
And did you see who caused those wounds for them? Or you just heard them saying that who did it, right?
I'm not the only one who's saying that. For example, the Hungarian Helsinki Committee also talks about...
Yeah, but once again, if there are 5 people saying about you that you stole something from a shop, does it make a fact that you stole from the shop? Because I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, putting such an accusation on a country in front of public without any kind of evidence, I think that has to be rejected. Because once again, you consider those people heroes who are violating the border between two safe countries, who are clearly violating international regulation. Because once again, I have to pose this question. What kind of right would justify, or what kind of piece of international legislation would justify that someone from a territory of a safe country goes to the territory of another safe country by being violent and aggressive, by violating the border?
I would like to ask you another question.
Yeah?
Is there any possibility at all to apply for asylum in Hungary?
You know, if you are under conditions which is described in international law that entitles you to ask for an asylum, there's an opportunity on the Hungarian embassies to submit this kind of request. But you don't have the possibility to ask for asylum in Hungary if you come from another safe country. Because the question is why you have not applied for that asylum there.
Would you describe your policies as values-driven, and if so, what values determine your foreign policy?
First of all, I mean, general policy or foreign policy? You mean?
Foreign policy, your foreign policy.
Yeah, right. You know, the number one value which determines our foreign policy is our national interest. That has to be number one. And we make our measures in a way to reach our national goals and to fulfill our national interest. That's number one.
In interviews and as well today, you always emphasize Hungary's sovereignty. If a country in the EU, for example Germany, now decides for itself that it no longer wants to pay tax money to Hungary, how would you react to that?
That I don't really understand why such kind of falsified context still can exist within the European Union. Portraying us, Central Europeans, as the ones who only take the benefit out of being members of the European Union and not contributing to the common achievement and common performance of the European Union is false, and this is a lie. Because is it right that we receive funding from European financial assets? Yes. We get European money based on the regulations of the European Union. But do we contribute to the economic performance and success of the European Union? Yes, we do, through the work of the Hungarian people and through the profit which is made by German companies in Hungary and being sent back to Germany. According to the own assessment of the European Commission, 70% of all European funds directed to the central part of Europe returns to Germany and the western part of Europe through their companies. So portraying this whole thing as if Hungary would live on the money of the German taxpayers is false. It's not true.
That was not the question.
It's simply not true.
My question was, how would you react if Germany decides, for example, it's a hypothetical question, but if Germany decided that it no longer wanted to pay tax money to Hungary, how would you react to that? Isn't that part of German sovereignty?
But what does that mean, that you don't pay taxpayers' money to Hungary? You don't pay anything to Hungary. You contribute to the operation of the European Union.
And Germany is one of the biggest contributors.
Yeah, and you are taking a lot of benefit of the Hungarian economic performance, because there are 6,000 German companies operating in Hungary, take a lot of profit out of Hungary every year, contributing to the well-being of the German citizens here. So this is a two-way street. Don't portray this whole thing as if you would only, pay to the common European budget. You take a lot of benefit out of that as well, in many ways.
All right, we have to wrap it up here. Last question, Foreign Minister. NGOs describe the Hungarian government's action as an attack on the rule of law. Who will prevail in that conflict?
Look, these NGOs are clearly political organizations. They call themselves NGOs, but they have a clear political approach. They have a clear political goal that they would like to see a political change in Hungary. But Hungary is a democracy, and in a democracy, it is not the NGOs to decide about who is leading a country and what kind of decisions are being made. We will have elections soon in April. We have won the last 3 parliamentary elections, and on the next elections, the people will decide in what direction Hungary will go in the future. And it's not the NGOs. We all know these kind of accusations. These accusations will even be stronger and louder in the upcoming months, given the fact that there's election campaign soon to be started in the preparation for the elections, and all these NGOs are ideologically hostile to the current government.
Foreign Minister Szijjarto, thank you for your time.
Thank you, vielen Dank.
Das war unser Interview mit dem ungarischen Außenminister Peter Szijjarto. Macht's gut, bis zum nächsten Mal.